p.m., council chambers. The mayor will be a little delayed, so I will stand in for him until he arrives. Can we have the invocation by Reverend Sandra Spalding from the Chapel of the Divine Spirit?
Dear God, our divine spirit, creator of all there is and ever shall be, we ask you to shine your light down upon our city this evening. We ask that you guide our council and grant them the wisdom to make the best decision for the highest good of our residents. We ask you to bless the residents. We ask you to bless our firemen, our policemen, all the people that work for our city, and we ask you to bless our country. For this we are thankful. Amen.
Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk call the roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Please let the record show Mayor Dale Masawa be late this evening. Vice Mayor Terrence Rowe.
Here.
Councilwoman Nancy Britton.
Here.
Councilwoman Jenny Sorrell.
Here.
Councilman William Dittmer.
Here.
And Interim City Manager Jim Matthews.
Here.
Okay, it looks like we have three different minutes to approve. I'll take them in order. The special council meeting of June 7th, 2016. Look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Council workshop meeting of July 20th, 2016. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Regular city council meeting of July 26, 2016. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We go to announcements from the,
From council or staff?
we'll go to staff. Anything from staff? Okay.
You good?
All right. You have anything?
I don't have any.
All right, we'll go to the public. Anyone have anything they want to address the council with?
Terry, did you get the list? Did you get the list of people that signed in to speak?
I did.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Have any of you read the humorous article by C.T. Bowen in the August 5th edition of the Tampa Bay Times? In writing about Attorney Joe Public, Bowen states he has spent considerable time working on ordinances. Yes, he has. In Port Richey, he spent 4 months working on our ordinances with 0 results. I suppose we got billed and he got paid. It was also stated that Attorney Public helped Zephyr Hills to begin taking stronger action against code violators, and in New Port Richey, he worked on code enforcement cases. In Port Richey, he did nothing about ordinance violations pertaining to erecting a fence that was not on the resident's property, was in a recorded perpetual public easement, and extended at least 4 feet into the city-owned Lake Cox. When it was reported to the city that a resident had erected a fence in an easement without getting the required no objection to dig letters from the 4 utilities, he did nothing about the ordinance violation. Thank you, Councilwoman Jenny Sorrell, for mentioning that there is a communication problem between the citizens and the city. If the council chooses to follow your suggestion that old business be placed on the agenda as a permanent item, we might see a reduction in the number of citizen complaints and inquiries that get ignored or swept under the rug. It has been brought to the attention of the City Council at several meetings that residents are getting no response to issues that they present at meetings. Sandy Spalding, Claudia Smith, and other residents have spoken on the lack of response to residents' concerns and issues. Too often, a resident asks a question and gets no response at that meeting or any future meeting. For example, how long have I been asking, is Lake Cox a dug or naturally formed lake? I want the city ordinances that apply to a dug lake to be enforced if it is a dug lake, or enforce the entirely different ordinances that apply only to a natural lake if it is a natural lake. A decision must be reached as to which it is. Lake Cox was named in honor of former Mayor Billy Cox. It is in and owned by the city of Port Richey. What you can and cannot do legally in regard to it is regulated by ordinances of the city of Port Richey. I have one question. Was it dug or did it naturally form? Thank you.
Thank you. Pennyfield Huntress?
That's me, Penfield. How are you?
Good.
I'm from 7433 Candlelight Court, and I gave a handout earlier which covers basically what I'm talking about, including photos where you can see Bruce took some pictures during the rain, so you can see the major flooding problem, even though they've dug the new swale, okay? So I'm just gonna read this. We had some points. We support, of course, the Orange Grove paving, and we have the petition that states that we're willing to share in the Walnut Street assessment, which is currently only applied to the Walnut Street landowners for our access. The existing drainage problems that are still occurring with Pasco County's paving and alteration to Walnut Street right-of-way are shown in the photographs. In an effort to stop the flooding into our yards that increase with the paving of Walnut, the county recently redug the swale next to our property. The natural grade drains from the high point and center of Walnut swale to both the north and south ends. On the south side, the county made no allowance for water flow to escape the deeper swale, so the swale fills and then floods Orange Grove and the Smith residence on 7335 Candlelight Court. Those are our neighbors toward the base of the street. On the north side, the county stopped the swale at a tree stand, the largest being 36 inches in diameter. Once the swale quickly fills, it overflows directly into the backyard of the McClure residence on 7437 Candlelight Court. That's our next door neighbors. These conditions cannot stand. The solutions to the inadequate Walnut Street runoff control are as follows. On the south side, an underground culvert running under Orange Grove is needed. It would drain to the existing swale on the south side of Orange Grove. Note that the county would need to increase the size of the swale to accommodate the extra water incursion from Walnut runoff. On the north side, the swale needs to be continued onto an existing east-west drainage trench located just 50 feet from where the Walnut swale terminates. One of the two options to accomplish this is to remove the stand of trees in the way and extend the walnut swale. The other option is to divert the swale around the tree stand by cutting back the pavement. As shown in the rough sketch, this would allow the walnut swale to connect to the existing east-west swale and not impede any traffic access to the nearby driveway. So, this information, of course, is available to you by email as well. I don't know if Bruce had already sent it on to the mayor, or we will be happy to, but I gave you hard copies so you could reference, and you see the photos with the flooding, and I'm done.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone else that has anything they want to say before I close it to the public? All right, I'll come back to council. Council have anything they want to say right now?
I do. First of all, I'd like to extend my condolences to Robert Lovering and his family for the loss of their father-in-law, of Robert, Chief Lovering's father-in-law. I know I spoke to him briefly today, and they're having a little bit of a rough time. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, in Candlelight, gosh, I've been back there so many times talking to people, trying to resolve the issues that are back there. And we looked at Orange Grove. At the end of Orange Grove, there's a body of water, like a little stream that runs in the back there, that's really a mess. And I think also if that were cleaned out, that would help divert some of the water. So that's another thought, but that's not our property, that's the county. So maybe in discussing some of these things with the county about Orange Grove, we may be able to talk to them about helping clean that out, because I know it hasn't been cleaned out in 20 years. It couldn't be. And so if that's cleaned out, it would deepen that and allow water to flow much better than it does now, because it gets very bad over there, seriously. And that's all for me.
Anyone else?
Tammy, let the record reflect the mayor's.
I did.
You have to set the agenda.
I'm where, sir?
You're here to set the agenda.
Okay. Any more from council?
Well,
Nancy
yeah.
brought up Orange Grove. Did you want to say something? You kind of took the reins.
Yeah, that's fine. I did drive through there myself while it was raining today, just on my route, and noticed some of these problems. Minor today because we didn't have that much rain, but it was obvious to see that they're going to be major problems if we get a heavy rain again, and we always tend to get heavy rains. We're going to be talking about Orange Grove a little bit later in the program. The only question I had for the city manager is what is the latest communication we've had with the county about the situation of driving over Walnut Street? Have they?
Councilman, correct me, the answer is no, right? Yeah, their answer is no.
From the top?
From the
or-
county, well,
Michelle Baker.
yeah.
Okay, so we really probably need to take that to the board.
Well, I can throw this in. I met with Jack Mariano at Walnut. All the Walnut people came out, and they were excited. They had a paved road, and they didn't want our people coming in from the back. But when your name, dear? Penn. When Penn had told them that they would share the assessment, they were very excited about that. They only want the county to design a apron of concrete with a culvert, so the culvert is under it and it doesn't tear up their street. We have enough funds to pave Orange Grove Drive, and I think that, Pat's gone. I think it was $20,000 to $30,000, and we have much more than that in the transit fund, I believe, Jim, is that correct?
Yes.
So with that said, did you get those?
Yeah, I gave a copy of the petition and
Okay.
photographs.
So, that said, either Mr. Rowe, you or I, or all of us need to go present it to the county commission. I presented it to, Jack and Catherine Starkey last night. She suggested we get with Wells because that's technically his district. And I think we'll get 3 votes, and I think we'll get Orange Grove paved. And the other problem, Jim, is apparently there is a private owner of the first of Orange Grove. So we would have to have him abdicate what?
I'm not sure what you mean as a private
There's a-
I thought they were all private.
That's a county road.
Right.
We would be paving a county road, so we'd have, I think Terry said want to give it to us.
We can probably get into all this when we get into that discussion, unless you want to move it up, but we probably should.
All right, let's go forward. We'll get there in a minute, Ben. I need a motion for the consent agenda. What, before that, Jim, what is this street narcotics apprehension program?
I'm sorry. We
That's
finished
a
the,
yearly program that the police department participates with Pasco County. We've done it for several years now.
Okay.
The county gets a base amount, and what they do is they give some to the other municipalities to participate in the street narcotics apprehension program.
Okay, motion.
Motion to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye. We didn't do the consent agenda.
And that was it.
What was the consent agenda?
You just. you
We
just-
didn't get to that.
I thought we just did it.
We
Oh.
just did. You just motioned.
Thought we just did one
I'm sorry. No,
or two.
we got consent. Okay. Council business, public hearing. First reading, ordinance number 16651, revenue bond. Mr. Matthew, doing double service.
Yeah. This is the ordinance which is necessary to refinance our bonds, which I discussed at our workshop for the city budget. And your first reading, ordinance number 16-651, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Port Richey, Florida, authorizing the negotiation of a loan in an aggregate amount not to exceed $3,935,000 from the Florida Municipal Loan Council to refund a prior loan as described herein, approving the form of and the execution and delivery of a loan agreement with the Florida Municipal Loan Council, approving the form of and the execution and delivery of a bond purchase contract, approving the form of and execution and delivery of a continuing disclosure agreement, providing certain other matters in connection with the making of such loan and providing an effective date. Looking for a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second?
Quick discussion. How much are we saving, Jim?
Right now, the numbers change, okay, and I ran these by the accountant. It's in excess of $335,000 over the course of the loan. Yeah, we're pretty happy about that. And
Very good.
Erin's not here, but I wanted to thank her. She spent a lot of time.
Folks, our Mr. Matthews has done a great job on our finances. We just saved 300. Motion, second. Any more discussion?
No.
We didn't have a second?
I had a second.
Yeah, we did. I have a motion. I have a second. Do we want any more comments? Any council thoughts? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I should have gone to public, but I made List of approved engineers.
I'll do that unless you want.
Please go ahead, Jim.
Yes. If you remember a couple of meetings ago, I went through the fact that we had a list of approved engineers with the city, and the state statute allows us to seek statement of qualifications and to contact them regarding whether they still wanted to be on our approved list. We contacted all the engineers that were on the list we had last time. A couple of them we haven't dealt with in years and didn't respond to us. If you look at the first page here, you'll see this spreadsheet. These are all the engineers that, except for one's new, and that's Dewberry, but all the others have done work for us before. They've indicated that they want to continue to do work for us. They sent us an updated statement of qualifications, which we have on file. With regard to Dewberry, they're new. Mayor, you might want to say, I know you're familiar with them. I've discussed it with them. I've had them down here. They've been working in the area. They got a good reputation. So looking for a motion to approve this list. And just so everybody knows that once we approve this list of engineers, going forward, the city manager can choose off this list as opposed, and no other list. I'm presently doing business with 2 contractors who are not on the list. One did Harbor Isles, and the other just finished up at the fire station. It's going to start over on Leo Kidd. When they're done, I'll discuss with the new city manager my experience with them. It's actually been pretty good, and see how he feels, and if he wants to bring them before you for approval, he can.
Can we add engineers in the future?
Yeah, you can, I guess that's my point, yes, you can, and you can add engineers all the time, and the more you have to choose
Okay.
from, and when you send, and as a practical matter, council, it's good to have a lot of people on the list, because when you ask for task orders, in other words, you want something relatively small done, we contact them and say, look, you know, what would you charge us to run this project? And if we have 2 or 3, we chop it around a little bit, okay, so more the merrier.
Okay, did Tampa Bay Engineering respond? Or did we send them anything?
I don't think so. We might not have sent them. I can if you
Did we
want.
send them,
I don't
or
think they
did
were
they
on the
not?
old list, but we can,
I think they're called Cardno TBE. I think they merged with another group. So I'll have to look that up because I don't think they exist as TBE anymore. But I'll look it up for you and contact them.
And I met a civil engineer, Hughes, are you familiar with them? I think it's Hughes. I won't put, I'll bring that up.
yeah, you can always put them on. Yeah, they're easy enough to put on. You just get the qualifications, and if you want them to appear, they can appear.
Did
At
we,
Dewberry, just for council's knowledge, I met with them a couple of times. The county seems to be very in favor of them. They have extensive tentacles all over the southeast. Matter of fact, one of their senior engineers was head of the DEP for the southeast region. So going for dredging, it doesn't seem like a bad person to put on. They're very, very knowledgeable, and we'll probably use them a lot. So I need a motion.
did we reach out to PBS&J? I know one time we had some dealings with them.
I do remember that name being on the list, but I don't think that I had any response from them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think they were on the list and didn't respond to us, yeah. We
There were
contacted them a
several
couple
that
times.
just didn't respond at all. There were several companies that said they no longer do work in this area and would like to be removed from the list, so.
Okay. Motion to approve the list. Contracting approved engineers.
I have a motion to
Second.
approve. I have a second. I should go to the public. Have anything to add, subtract? Back to council. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Draft ordinance with marijuana.
I'll do that too.
Okay.
Okay, the last meeting, city council desired that the city attorney, Mr. Pavlik actually did this, create a draft of an ordinance to see whether you want to have a first reading of this ordinance or not. The draft is here. This ordinance is the decriminalization, not the legalization, the decriminalization of 20 grams or less of marijuana. You can read it. It pretty much follows the Tampa ordinance. Get caught with it, it's a $155 fine. And right now, it's written that it would apply to everyone 18 years or older. That was kind of an open issue for my last, so you can change that, whatever, but we just put 18 in there just so you can see where it would appear. Looking for comments, changes, whether you want to do it.
I would
Call
like
for
it to
first reading.
be a younger age. I want the kids to know they should not be smoking it. It's bad, medically it's bad. Brain matter, white matter. I don't know if there's a reason 18 is in there.
Well, I could tell you from doing a little, do you want to, perhaps, go ahead.
I know Tampa's ordinance is 18 years of age,
Yeah.
so I guess that's something council would have to
Yeah, I
decide
can tell you the
upon.
issues, Mayor, if you want, you know, not to get into the debate, but if you put no age, okay, then you gotta remember, it's a ticket. So someone comes here and it's a kid, or from, you know, we're not gonna be chasing and spending thousands of dollars with lawyers chasing down these tickets, okay? You might send it to a collection company. So if you put no age on it, and word gets out, you're gonna have every 13-year-old knowing you can come here and nothing will happen to you except get a ticket, which you can throw away, right? So that's the issue with the age, right? That's always the issue with the age. So whether you want to make it 18, you could make it 21. There's no right or wrong, Mayor. It's whatever you think's best.
Really, the major reason I wanted this in was to address any kids. So
Yeah, see what
They
would
must
happen,
have parents,
yeah, so,
right?
just so everybody understands, okay, if someone's below the age that you put in here, then the police only have the option of citing them with the criminal offense. Then they would go into the system and have to do a program, okay? So that age and above, you can just ticket, okay, that's decriminalized. But if anything below, the police's only choice would be the criminal offense. So that's kind of what you're
That is-
deciding. There's no right or wrong, just whatever you decide.
I want to say 2.
Whatever you
12.
want. Whatever.
Mr. Brown.
Question, anybody under 18, say they're 16 and they get caught, do they get a felony record off of that?
It depends on the amount of marijuana. In most cases, 99% of the time, it's a misdemeanor, and they would be arrested. We usually do a juvenile affidavit. We'll call the parents, and we'll release them to the parents. So they would have to go to court and face the charge, and then they would go to the judge, and the judge would determine the sentence. And usually it's a program that they would go to, pretrial intervention, something like that, if it's not a felony amount.
And the misdemeanor would show up on their record?
Yes, it would.
Would that be the same if they were caught underage drinking? Same.
I'm for lowering it, and I don't know if we can do this, Jim, but if we could make it very serious to the parents, and I don't know if we have responsible parents, mostly, I'm sure we do. I would rather pay $500 than face my father with a ticket like that. So if we could do that and have some diversionary program.
We don't have the legal authority to have a
We
diversionary
can't.
program. We're not the state of Florida, nor the county. So we only have the ability to cite for a code violation.
Could we do a voluntary diversionary?
A
A
voluntary?
voluntary class?
You could send them a letter with the ticket, I guess, if, say, it's a voluntary class, you'd have to have structure and, do the class. Voluntary is voluntary,
Okay.
You'd have to be ready for a class, people to show up, train people, all that kind of stuff.
I
Have to
can
do a little
that.
research whether you could say it. If a voluntary class, you're gonna have people here prepared, and then they
Well,
school,
if it was my
and pay all
son,
that money. I'm
if
just
it was
asking.
my son, we would be there.
I understand.
And I want them to know that they can have permanent,
You can have voluntary
Change.
anything. You got voluntary anything you want.
okay, I would like to see that in there.
Look, if I was 16 years old, I'd be like, hey, guys, come on, let's go to Port Richey and party tonight, because if we only take so much pot with us, all we're gonna do is get a ticket. That's what we're looking for here, and I don't think the residents of Port Richey need that. We got enough issues here. The police are understaffed, we're losing police right and left. We're understaffed, and of programs that these first-time offenders can go through to get everything taken off their record. So I'm going to stand behind my vote in the past not to approve this, because I don't think we need it here in Port Richey. I think that, let's see how Tampa does with it first, and then make a decision down the road.
Just keep. Just keep following, huh? Any other comments?
I do. What would you do right now when somebody's caught with an 18-year-old with under 20 grams? What's the common procedure?
Typically, if there's no other
No
charges, just simple possession, if they don't have a lengthy criminal history, we would issue them a notice to appear in court.
That's it. So there's no fine attached to that, just a notice to appear.
A notice to appear, but then they gotta go in front of the judge, and that's when they're gonna face the court, possible probation.
So would the notice to appear also, could that be tied to the ticket?
Well, no, I would say no. Basically, a notice to appear, it's saying we're not putting you in jail. We're not transporting you physically, but you are being charged with this, and it's for overcrowding purposes.
Eileen? Anything?
Well, I understand what you're trying to say, because you're trying to save that kid that makes the mistake and is probably a pretty good kid. But I'm not real sure that we're in a place that we can legislate that kind of thing to families and to kids. I just, I think as government, that we've got to step back at some point and let the parents take care of these kids and let them understand that there are going to be consequences for things. And I don't have any problem against the decriminalization of less than 20 grams, but I would like to hold it at 21 or 18.
All right. When you say we're gonna go to Port Richey and party, I think that's a little absurd. But please, you can grow marijuana by yourself. There's no town I can set you in. If you want marijuana, you can't have it in 30 minutes. So what do you think you're legislating? Morality? We're trying to keep, if we keep one kid without a problem in the courts, we've done something. Otherwise, it just stays the same. And it'll probably be legal here next year, the next year after, whatever. 20 states already.
I don't know if you even can answer this. Maybe you haven't been in those court cases, but usually when these kids go before the judge, when they have not had a criminal record before, I would imagine he's not too harsh with them. He gives them a wake-up call of some sort.
Yeah, that's typically true. I know neighborhood kids who have gotten themselves in some minor trouble. They've got arrested, notice to appear, they go to court, and usually they have to do something like copy the statute that they violated 20 times, community service, they got to attend some court classes. If they're stealing, they got to go to some retail theft classes and things like that. And if they complete that program, typically they'll remove it from their record if they complete everything.
Okay. Do you think it has an effect?
I do. But again, it depends on the child. There's some kids who go through it repeatedly, and the kids I know who got themselves in a little bit of trouble, they completed the program and they haven't been in trouble since. So it depends on the child.
So do you feel we need this?
I think it's a decision for council.
Don't turn on me here.
That was politically correct.
Last year.
Would it be useful to the police department? Let me leave it that way.
I think it would save us time, yes. And as far as the age, the only problem I have is when you're 18, you're an adult. So you're going to treat an 18, 19, and 20-year-old adult differently than you do a 21-year-old. So I think if you're going to have this, in my opinion, since you're asking, I would make it 18. Because otherwise, a 20-year-old is going to get arrested and is going to end up in jail. But for the fact he's not a few months older, it would have been a civil citation. But that's my opinion.
The child who goes to the court and gets their hand slapped and gets the life scared out of them and they're not coming back again. Boy, I sure would want my child to have that opportunity than to just get a ticket and think it's okay. So, as a parent, no thanks. I would not want my son or daughter to get a ticket. I'd want them to go through that so I could scare the living daylights out of them. So they don't return and start smoking pot again, that they think twice about it and say, wow, I don't want to go down this road.
Any other comments? I would also just say the 21, the 30-year-old that smokes a joint, gets caught with it, Now, he's lost his job, family may not be able to feed themselves. I think we're just being moralistically ridiculous. I'll take it to the Ms. Spalding.
Sandra Spalding, 8207 Old Post Road. You know what? My fiance worked in detention for children. It's not a nice place. We know that. Why not give the kids up to 3 tickets before you make it a criminal charge? Hello? You know, that'll frighten the kids enough. They have to come and appear before the council, maybe. Frighten them that way. Why are you going to do this to children? Why? I don't understand. Kids are kids. How many times as a kid did you do something you weren't supposed to? And if you got caught, all right? I know my parents, forget about it. I was in deep trouble. But today, give them up to 3 tickets as warnings. And then you can make it a criminal charge after 3 tickets. Why would you do this to children? They'll only get hardened. They'll only get hardened. And I've never smoked pot. I never intend to. How many of us can say that? In all honesty, how many can say that? You didn't get, well, good. But how many? What percentage is what I'm saying? All right? What if you all got caught and all had records? Come on, let's be a little bendable here. This city has to learn bendability with everything we do. Don't do this to kids. Don't do it. Because if you do, it's on your conscience. Give them a chance. I don't know what else we could do, but up to 3 tickets. Then it's criminal. Then you gotta go in front of the court because you've had your warnings. You know what you're doing wrong. I'll leave that with you. Thank you.
Even if you gave him 2. Sir, no, I have a gentleman here. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, good evening, David Martinez, pastor of church in,
Yes,
here
sir.
on Congress, 7920 Congress Street. I understand that we don't want to mess up a youth, record, but I'm also.
Or your regular.
Well, here's the thing, I was a youth, and I did smoke weed. And you're saying let's hit them off with a fine, and the truth of the matter is, I have a 17-year-old daughter that works. Getting her with a fine is not gonna be any big deal if they have the money. Secondly, you're giving them an opportunity, you have teenagers that are already hooked on prescribed pills and so forth. So you're just including, let's get high and let's take prescription drugs, and the least we're gonna do is just get a fine. As a pastor that works with teens, this is their attitude. The police officer made a good reference. It's all on the child. If a child is, a pretty easygoing kid, might get scared with a fine. But if he is not, what was the point of the fine?
Give him a chance.
You give him a chance, but if he knows that carrying a certain amount of marijuana is going to get him into bigger trouble, you avoid that. And I understand about the opportunity that you want to give the child. I want to give all kids an opportunity, but I also you're almost picking and choosing who's that going to work for. One kid might be scared, the other kid might say, I got a fine, whippy-doo. That doesn't mean anything. I'm going to go and do it right all over again because I know I'm going to get a second fine and a third fine and a fourth fine. So, again, I agree, you don't want to mess up the child's future, but at the same time, you don't want to give them the opportunity to say, well, if I get a fine, I get a fine, I'll pay the fine, so what, I'll keep doing it. Just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Angel Nally. I'm at 7726 Grand Boulevard. And I know this might come out of left field somewhere, but how is it not criminal when from the time they're in school, they're told what is legal and what's not legal? And as we know, the human brain doesn't fully develop, till 26 or 27. We're putting car keys in their hands. We're seeing children at very young ages doing things they are not ready to do, which I understand we can all make mistakes. But as a city and as the state, I presented everyone with a copy of an article from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and I myself was reading it. And any drug, you can go online under this administration, under these testing, these controlled testings, and they have tested every drug and how it affects you when you operate a vehicle. So therefore, we're having kids driving at 15 and 16 years old. They think they know what they're doing. If we do not keep this at a criminal offense where it can be a serious thing, I trust the court system and the people that we vote in there to deal with these cases individually. And I trust our community to do what they're doing in all these other places to help rehabilitate or give an opportunity for these people. But I think we really need to look at the safety and what we're doing to our own safety by not having a consequence to your choices. And also, how does it affect our insurance rates? You go to other places with different things. I mean, is my rates gonna go up because some kid can drive around with some pot and smoke weed and drink, which tells you right here that, it impairs their vision. They can't even clean their rooms, and we're expecting them, here's a car, you got, less than 20 grams, it's not criminal, just get out of my hair and go have a good time in Port Richey. So I just want to put it on record that I love my city, I believe in government, and if I need to speak up this one time and it's on record, well then here we go. I think it's a safety issue, and it should be criminal if you know and you've been taught that it's wrong. And until it's legal all over the state or legal in our state, I just don't know why it's still not criminal. So, thank you for your time, and have a good day.
Any others? You know I'm gonna vote. Mr. Veros, if you speak up any more, you're gonna be leaving.
What am I here for then? Huh? You quiet? You wanna make drug dealers?
Mayor,
the young
I'll-
kids-
Take him out, please. Or take him outside and talk to him. This is becoming constant.
Wanna make drug dealers that are kids that drink at the same time? That's your problem. Have a good night. I'll see you in another meeting.
Pete Barnett, 8428 Green Street. I appreciate what everybody's saying and all of that, but this whole conversation is ridiculous. How many of you people have your kids running around with these? Everybody. Okay? They're in the car, they're on the drive, they're gonna do the same thing to you with this. If they're not responsible, they're not responsible. But at 18, you're letting them smoke. I think even this man here, if he catches somebody at 18, he's got one beer, I don't think he's gonna get all excited and freaked out about it, maybe if he's driving. But I think this is the same thing. At 18, you're responsible enough to make your own damn decisions. And they still drive around with this in their ear, or smoking or eating, exactly. But why make it a federal offense? The first time your kid goes to prison, you're gonna be going, boy, was I dumb. Because it's not that big of a deal. They're 18, they're responsible. You say, oh, a ticket's not gonna do anything to them? That's because the parents haven't done anything to them. When I was 18, if I got a ticket, believe me, I took care of that ticket. And I made sure that I didn't do it again, unless I wanna pay another ticket. Well, guess what? If you don't work, you don't have money. And I see in this day and age, most kids don't work. So I'm all for the 18 and over. And I think it's ridiculous for any more discussion. I think it's you either okay it or you don't, because we don't have the choice.
Anyone else from public? Mr. White.
Thank you. I've got a teenage son. I'm prior Coast Guard, 10 years, and I think what we're talking
I'm
about
sorry,
here.
sir.
Name and
Can I
address.
have your name and
Oh,
address?
Corey White,
Thank you.
Aberdeen Avenue. I think what we're talking about here is options. You know, I've got an 18-year-old son right now, just turned 18. He's got a bunch of buddies that are 16, 17, and that's when if they get caught at 16 or they get caught at 17, it takes a bunch of options off the table. Law enforcement, military, things like that. That criminal charge takes those options off the table for them. If you just write them a ticket and they go through some pretrial intervention or something like that, and you don't have that record, they still have an option to be saved. And boot camp saves people. Let me tell you, I'm here to tell you, boot camp will change your life. But that option gets wiped off the table if they have a criminal record that has anything to do with drugs. So if you write them a ticket, the guy's 16 and 17, and you're talking about the age of being 18. He's going in when he's 18. So if this happens at 15, 16, 17, those options get wiped off the table. And I think it's our responsibility as parents and as leaders to leave all those options available for those kids that might get caught with a little bit of weed because they're hanging out with their buddies. Write them a ticket, 16, 17, 18, and still give them a chance to go in the military. But that gets taken away from them, and that can save a whole lot of lives right there. It can change a lot of lives. That's where I'm at with it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public? Okay, I appreciate that. Folks, we're not trying to make drugs legal. We're trying to when I grew up in Oklahoma, we were a bigger town than this. Many, many times the police would take kids home if they were drinking underage. I don't even know if we had marijuana then. And to put these charges, these kids do not get the same breaks we got. They get in the system, they don't get out of the system. And remember, we're talking about 18 and over. I'd rather make it 12. I would scare the hell out of them. I would hope the parents had something constructional to add to that, and I would not get these kids in the system. I can't see them getting out. They don't have the money. If their parents aren't responsible, we may have lost it. Maybe we want to make it just one ticket and then they go. Give them one chance. That's up to council. That's all I have to say.
I have one more question, but the officers aren't here. Wouldn't they be, if they're under 18, that goes on a minor record as a minor, and therefore wouldn't transfer over to?
I can answer that. I can tell you for a fact, because I'm the one that sentences them, me and about 4 other people on this side of the county. So I do that. What happens is, if someone's, first off, the court with more than 20 grams, it's a lot more to make it a felony, so it's always a misdemeanor. So with 20 grams or less, it's a misdemeanor. If they get taken in for that, then they go into a diversionary program at the county, come before someone like me. Okay, and we make them do the things that he was speaking of, you know. I don't make anybody write the Constitution. I generally give them the classes and, you know, things like that. But put them in a diversionary program. If they complete the program, the charges are dropped. There's no criminal record. That's the process now in the county. So.
How well does that work?
Well, you know, it's interesting you would ask me how well does it work, because regretfully I don't see the kids after I sentence them. You understand what I mean? And there's people that follow up on the program. So how well it works, Mayor, I don't know. But that's the process now. And just to follow up on the process, in other words, you do see, if there's an armed robbery, the police get you, they take you to jail. Lesser offenses, the police have an option in Florida. They can take you to jail or give you an NTA, a notice to appear. That's no different. It's just that they hand it to you, and they can give it to you for a misdemeanor. If you don't show up, they put a bench warrant out for you. So that's the difference between an NTA and an arrest, okay? Usually, sometimes police are too busy and just give you an NTA. Sometimes they'll actually take you down, but that answers some of your questions, so. Doesn't help you with the decision, but just some information.
Minors are treated differently than adults then.
And minors get the diversionary program in Florida, yes.
And don't have a record to go on to adult life if they complete.
They won't have a record, no.
Right. But we have actually gone off point because this is 18 or 21 and older. Now, you have how old is your son?
26.
26. He happens to have a joint. What happens to his job? No job. Can't go to the armed forces. Can't go to the Coast Guard. He will never, it will follow him forever. One chance, give him one chance. Just don't let this legal system cart them off.
I'm all for giving them one chance as adults. Making it younger, like you're saying, I don't agree with.
I had wanted to put a diversionary program here in, which I would be happy to teach and scare the hell out of them, because it is very dangerous medically. Under 23s.
I think going in front of gym's scary enough.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I get really angry at them. And Mayor, just for information purposes, as an adult, you generally get one free bite at the apple, but it's hard to get into that program. Do you understand what I mean? So if you're an adult and you get a marijuana charge, getting into that program, if you have any other thing on your record, they don't offer it. I mean, they offer the diversion to all the children, but above that, yeah, then you don't know, so. The adult diversionary program is much more limited.
No.
I understand then that
I
if.
know when you're thinking, I can tell.
It hurts. Anyway, what you're telling me, though, is that if you have a responsible young man and he gets busted and he's under 18 and he goes before you and he does the program or whatever sentence that you may give him, then this would be expunged from his record. It would not be on his
Yes,
record.
that's
So he
correct,
would
yeah.
still be able to go to the armed forces.
Yeah,
and the military.
what
So
hap-
he gets one bite.
Well, like, they actually give it more than one. It was one up until last year. They changed the law last year. You can actually go into the program a couple of times, juveniles now. Yeah, so what they do is they dismiss the charges. In other words, they hold the charges in abeyance
Right.
while the program, and generally it's 60 days, 90 days. Community service is pretty much, they go community service. If they gave the policeman a hard time, I make them write a letter of apology, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't get, yes, it gets, the charges are dismissed, so there's nothing to expunge. It's just not there.
So they can still
Yes,
qualify
right.
for all of those
That's why they all
things.
make sure they complete the program, yeah. And that's the first thing I tell them. I said, look, you're getting free bite at the apple here. Complete this program.
So a really responsible kid would be scared with that one time.
Oh, I tell them, if they don't complete this program, they're not gonna go into the military, they'll never get a job. Oh, yeah, read them the right act, sure. They all- And I think like they're 95% of them all finished the program. Oh, sure.
So
Will do.
then they do get a kind of like a freebie, I guess. Kinda.
Kind of.
But we're back to
Yeah.
the adults now.
Yeah, well, I'm still holding with the 18 years of old or 21, one of the two.
Which, you two, which do you want? We have to make a revisionary if you want.
I prefer 21.
Well, they can go in the
Well, actually,
military at
18.
18.
Right.
And if we can put a gun in their hands,
Bingo. Terry, you have any thoughts on age?
This is a tough one, because I really feel out of my expertise on this. It's something that I
As
think
we
people
all
that
are.
study for years need to decide, and I think if I was to do anything, I would advise just one bite at the apple. I don't think we should invite drugs to the city in any way, shape, or form, or make it look like we're okay with that. It's a small amount. I know I've talked to a number of people and they have problems in the jails because they have so many people that are in there on these kind of charges. They're taking up room for the people that really should be there, and it is become a problem. I talked to the people down at the county about this, so it is a problem. And it's taking up a lot of the police time here for this type of thing, but how would we know if it was a first bite at the apple? Would you have that on record?
Yeah, thanks.
If you wrote them a ticket, say, for this, and then, say, a year or two from now, you pick them up again?
We could definitely do that. We could have it set up in our records management system that if this person is issued a citation, we'll put it in the computer, the date and the information regarding the apprehension with the marijuana. And they've got the one, if that's the way you wanted to do it, he's got his one. The officer would just run in the computer and you can see when he was issued the ticket, and whether or not he paid it.
Okay. So right now, do I have a consensus? We want to change it to one chance, age of 18. And I'm going to tell a story that probably takes too long, but when I was 17, I went with 9 people in 2 cars from Oklahoma to Padre Island. I did not drink beer. I hated it. I poured it out so I'd be cool looking like I drank it. We got pulled over by the police at a grocery store because the guys had to urinate on the wall. So I spent all this time saying he was really not doing anything involved. I was sitting in the back seat of the Pontiac GTO, not drinking, and I got a DUI. Well, they gave 9 DUIs, 2 cars. And the point of that is, it almost came up when I went to the ER, and they weren't going to care about it at that point, but the internet will not forget. It will be with you. I didn't drink, I didn't drive, but I got a DUI. So, any other thoughts? I've got reformation of this to one chance for under 18. Otherwise, that's what I have. Do I have a motion to approve to, what do you want?
Do we have to redo the ordinance and bring it back, or can we make the changes now and go that way?
This is just a draft, so it's coming back anyway for a first reading. Just on the issue of one chance, I'm thinking from the legal standpoint here, you know, we'd kind of have to redo this in a much different way to say that this is the decriminalization of it, you know, once I write, it's only criminalized once. You know, we could set a policy with the police department that, you know, give them a, you know, we could put something, maybe about a warning or something in here or change it, but I guess I could write something in it, Mayor, for one free chance. It might not read that way, but the short answer to your question, whatever you decide, I'll bring back for a first reading. Okay? So don't worry about it. It's not a big deal.
Okay, we have 2 changes on first reading, change to one chance, change age to, is it 18 now or?
It's 18 now, so the only
18.
change would be-
So no change on the age, just change to a first chance. Do I have a motion? Do I need a motion?
Good.
Yeah,
A motion to change the ordinance for a second reading.
second,
I'll second it.
okay.
But just for, we haven't done the first reading yet. This is a draft.
Draft.
Yeah, just for process, because we're gonna be doing a lot of this stuff. This is just the draft, so you can have conversation about it, and, you know, I'm gonna bring it back for the first reading. And when you bring something for a first reading, you can always change it a little after the first reading, but not a lot. And then advertising comes into effect and costs, that's why a draft's always good to do. So this would be for a first reading. And the only change would be, one free bite at the apple, right? Some fish. Is that right, Mayor?
Yes,
Is
sir.
Is that the motion? Okay.
That is the way I understand it.
One chance.
Okay.
What's the motion on the floor?
The motion on the floor is to bring back the draft ordinance to be changed to only one ticket, one free chances, one bite at the apple. Do I have a motion? Got a lot of consultation.
We have a second. The
We do have a motion,
second.
second? Thank you.
What? Yeah.
All right, I have a motion. You want to speak? I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Passes 3-2. Okay, we are going to Public Safety Director.
I'm sorry. 5 or 6 weeks ago, the city council desired that we put out a request for proposals for public safety director. I think last time I mentioned this at the last meeting, there was 3. There are now 4 resumes. They are before you. I believe it's 2 in state, 2 out of state. At this point in time, I'm kind of looking, see what council wants to do, okay? You know, whether you want to proceed with interviewing these people, bringing them in putting it out again. See if you can get more, it's up to council.
Okay, I'm gonna give my 2 cents worth and turn it over to you guys. I went through these, there are 4 great candidates here. The only problem I see is 3 of them don't have much in fire or anything. They're certainly not Florida fire certified. That leaves us to 1 technically qualified candidate who has previously worked here at the city, and I've had very good responses from the citizens. They know this Judge Gerald DeCanio. They know him very well. They're pushing for us to go to him. As Mr. Matthews told me, we don't have to carry this through 10 readings. We can just cut the snake at the head and hire. Or
you have to do a background check for it, for instance. And this gentleman has never completed school. He's never been anything but a detective. He even worked for the company that was involved with the debacle that we had with the impound lot here. So, I don't think.
which was found totally innocent.
He's not certified as a police officer,
That is not correct.
and he's never been in command.
That is not correct.
It is.
He is not certified as a police officer.
He is not certified as a police officer, no.
I wish I could have
Was
my
he not
glass.
hired here at Fort Ritchie? He was.
Yes. Okay, New York City Police Academy Training Program, Suffolk County Fire Training Program, Diploma in Residential and Industrial Electricity, Certification Disaster Heavy Rescue, Ground Fire Supervision, Fire Department Management, Arson Investigation, Line Officer Training, additional training, NYPD sponsored. I don't know where you got, he's not.
The best person for this job is Alexander Bieberus from Ohio. He's working in the capacity now. This guy, no thank you.
We got where is, which one do you like, Nancy?
Gentleman from Ohio, he's.
Well, who is the gentleman from Ohio?
Dr. Alexander Bieberus.
I don't see any fire experience with him.
Well, you can do half the job, though.
Well, neither does the other guy have any fire experience.
Yes, he does.
No, he does not.
Yes, he does too. Read it, Nancy, please.
Okay.
Certification, disaster and heavy rescue, ground fire supervision, fire department management, arson investigation. That arson, that's fire. Got that one? Line officer training.
He doesn't even have the qualifications that our chief of police, for just the police department, has in order to run the police department. He does not.
He's the only qualified candidate. If you want to hire just police with no fire, then that's what you want to do.
He's the only one I see that has the background at all.
It says he's currently with a chief with Fort Ritchie, with the county, as a volunteer chief.
I don't know, maybe we got 2 different copies.
I think you
It
only need
says
to
I am
talk,
currently working.
I think you need to talk to our chief about, what he thinks a qualified position for this.
I don't think our chief has any reason to be involved in this. Worked at Port Ritchie Police Department, New York State Police.
Why don't we bring him in next meeting? We're going to interview other people for the city manager's position down the line.
Huh?
Bring him in, have him speak for himself.
All right.
You gonna do that?
All for that.
Wanna do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bring them all in.
We can all get to meet him and we will.
Who's gonna finance the Ohio people?
I don't see a need to bring in those people. They don't have background. in fire. I'm sorry, I don't see it there. He's the only one that's got background in fire.
Other than the one gentleman that's Navy, I think naval experience, and
Which
He
one?
had something, I don't think it was fire certified here.
There you go.
Well-
assistant fire chief in the US Navy.
Are we doing city manager next time?
We're doing it Thursday,
Thursday, okay.
especially Thursday.
So next meeting, we could do this.
We have to
The
do-
people in Ohio, if they want to do a telephone interview, that's fine.
Sure.
Save them the travel.
Yeah. Telephone would be
Yeah,
good.
I'm not willing to bring anybody.
No, we don't.
Okay. Motion to,
I'll make the motion to have Mr. Gerard D. Canio appear before council next meeting.
Which meeting are you referring? Council
The
meeting?
regular council meeting. And the applicants from Ohio are welcome to interview during that same meeting by telephone.
do I have a second to that?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to interview Mr. DeCanio and have any others that wish to participate by phone interview. Do I have a second? Or did I get a second? Motion and a second, public.
Mr. Mayor, could I have a,
Sanders, 4082,
could I have a clarification on the motion for a second? I thought two people were from Florida. Did I get that right? One gentleman's from Raffia Drive in Port Richey. Can he
Yes.
show up personally, or has he got to be here
Yes,
by
if you
phone?
want.
I'm just asking,
No
I'm just,
fire
I'm
certificate.
I'm just asking what the motion
No,
is.
I'm gonna ask you again. I read
Yeah.
no fire, so
I-
I eliminate.
I'm just,
Did anybody else find?
is that,
fire?
is that the
Let you know,
understood
man.
motion? That the gentleman, Port Richey, you don't want to come, be interviewed?
Well,
I'm just asking what the motion is.
Well, I expected Mr. DeCanio would probably want to be here since he lives in Hudson.
Yeah, I just meant the other gentleman who lives in Port Richey. You don't want him coming?
Well,
He's
do
more
we
than...
want
Well, that's what I thought your motion was. I didn't think that was understood as your
Yeah,
understanding
I
of
understood them
it.
both to be in Ohio, but they're not.
They're not, that's right. It was a statement that all others weren't in the state, and I know that to be not true. We have two here in Florida, so I'm asking, is the motion,
Okay, let me correct the motion then. I move that the two gentlemen that live in our area,
Before you do that, man, may I ask you a question? Do you want to hire somebody with no fire experience?
I personally don't, but I don't know where the rest of the council is.
But we also don't want to narrow our fields totally, so it'd be nice to at least speak to the other people.
I have a
I was
question
just
first.
clarifying. It
Okay,
wasn't,
that's
yeah,
fine.
just
Has
clarifying.
any background checks been done on anything? I mean, anybody can put anything in writing. Has anything been checked prior to inviting anybody in here? That's the appropriate protocol.
Did you ask for that?
You put somebody out there, you know, you put your RFP out there, whatever, and you get applicants, and then you're gonna look into their background, and make sure that, you know, what's on their,
I think after we narrow the field, we would look at their background, but why do the background checks on four
I'd hate
people?
to, well,
Well, Nancy, if you felt this way, why didn't you say, let's put some background checks out?
you know,
If you want them in advance, then tell
yeah,
them.
that's what I'm asking. I'm asking, were they done? Were any background checks done? Background checks have to be done. If you're hiring anybody for the police and fire department, background checks have to be done, as far as I'm concerned, because we have to know who we're hiring.
We have been going through this. Why didn't you tell us?
They give background checks for any
this?
job for any kind of job in any kind of government, you're always doing background checks.
As a pre-hire, but not
Should
to
we do
pre-employment.
26 for the city manager, 26 backgrounds? How much do they
23rd, you
cost?
mean, the 23rd, sir? For the next meeting, sir?
Well, yeah, if we'd used this philosophy, we would have had to do
No, you only
26.
have 5 people coming in.
If you're gonna do
You know,
background checks
I
ahead of
understand
time,
you're
it's
trying
gonna
to
take
get the people
weeks.
in here that you want, but you gotta do
You're
it the
damn
right
right I
way.
am.
You gotta do it the right way, legally.
Well,
Nah.
Is it normal procedure for the city to do background checks prior to employment? When there's an offer, and then we would normally do a
That's when you
background
would
check.
do it.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Sandy's
Excuse the
4882.
diversion.
8207 Old Post Road. First of all, Why would you even interview people that doesn't have the proper credentials for both? Why are you interviewing somebody that doesn't have fire experience? You know, hello? Is anybody in there? Common sense. Now, as far as it goes, they fill out an application. You check out all the information on their application. Very simple. No big deal. Everything will turn up. It takes 5 minutes on the computer to come up with these things, I'm sure. Why would you even interview people that don't have fire experience? Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. You're sitting there, all of you, talking about how many of them don't have fire experience. Just how many of them on what you're reading? 3 of them don't have? Why would you even consider it? You make no sense. I'm gonna leave you with that. Oh my gosh.
Okay, well, that's pretty much where I sit.
Well, I agree
no,
with her.
I
I agree with her.
I don't
think we
know.
should orphan our fire department.
Yeah, we're just.
I mean, by having somebody who's not qualified for both. We should not orphan our
If he wants
firefighters.
to withdraw, I don't know, if John Wayne, applied, he still know how to do the fire, what good is that?
Exactly.
And so, these guys are fabulous, there's some really fabulous things.
Yeah.
There are all good resumes.
They were excellent resumes, but the lack of fire experience was what I noticed in,
Yeah, I mean,
3 of them.
it's kinda
right
hard
off
to
the
lead
bat.
people that know more than you do.
I
Right.
think you all need to talk to our police chief about the candidates before, because we don't have the
I have
qualifications
not
to know.
any faith in our police chief helping me.
I'm not saying you, I'm asking the other council to
Yeah.
consider speaking to the police chief.
Well, let me explain my motion. The reason I made that motion is because I don't believe this council has made a definite decision to go this route. And these other people have police backgrounds, and we are going to lose our chief in the not-too-distant future. But and along with that, Ms. Britton favored one that didn't have the background. And out of courtesy to her, I figured it wouldn't hurt to have that person call in if they're interested.
Budgeted for police chief.
Maybe they didn't put it in there, I doubt it, but, I mean, it would make more sense, yeah, if we're going this direction, absolutely positively, there's only one candidate here that has any type of background in that field at all. So, if we don't want to go that direction, then we need to decide that, and then this makes the decision a lot easier, because there's only one person here.
Well, and the things I wanna say, and I wanna get my people, I don't care who's there, as long as they get along with our citizens. But I have had multiple citizens come to me and tell me that Gerald DeCandio was a fabulous guy. And they want him in, and this is from east, north, I better not say the names of the people, but you would know them. And I want to make the people happy. I want to have a good, and I've already made my mind as far as merging. I just hate crawling through government. You know, we just go, and then we make another one. Then we do more telephone. Then we do back down. Then we do this, and then we do that. Cut the snake at the head, hire the man.
Well, then I'll withdraw my motion once again and leave it up to the rest of council to make the motion.
Whatever you want. You're not gonna offend me.
I think I still would like to have them appear and at least speak to these gentlemen, either on the phone or not. Like, like Terry made a very good point, even if we don't go this route, we will still need a police chief, and obviously, all these candidates can fill that role.
Okay, what is the date?
The next council meeting's on the 23rd.
23rd.
And then the chief's leaving the 2nd or 1st of October. I guess we have time. If that's what you want. Okay, motion one.
I'll make the motion for, to invite these candidates to come make an appearance either in person or via the phone for the meeting of the 23rd.
Second?
Second?
Okay, motion and a second. Anybody from public? Back to council. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. What did you get? Forget it, count. I voted nay.
What? Did you vote, ma'am? I didn't hear you. I didn't say nay.
Can you figure that out? Okay, that moves us along. Discussion of Orange Grove. I'll take it real quick. And Terry has more, and there's more than more. Orange Grove Drive is a county highway. I suppose we would have to have, they would have to give it to us, Jim, if we were to pave it, but it goes to our subdivision at Candlelight.
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of legal research on it, Mayor, but it's my understanding now that Orange Grove is a county road, okay?
All but one section of it.
Okay, and who owns that?
It's privately owned.
By an individual owns a road? I mean, it's-
According to
yeah.
the research I've done, yes.
Okay, I'd have to check that out the first time hearing of Mayor.
Someone
But anyway,
else-
leaving that issue aside, it's a county road, yeah, we'd have to approach the county, see if they want us to take jurisdiction of it. I would think they may, right? I don't think that's a problem. I'll just add this, once you take it, it's yours forever.
Right.
With regard to the issue of the road that's not, I could check that out if you want. That's the first I'm hearing that.
Okay, so, that, step one is.
Yeah, and I also don't know if we could do all the road but that section, that I don't know either, so I'll try to get you that answer. Okay, I mean.
Well, I think
I'm sure I can figure it out.
wait till we get done.
Let me take over here. I had a long discussion, and I think I mentioned this during the workshop, with Mike Garrett, who's head of Pasco County Roads. He offered us this road before, but it was never brought before council. And now he's offering it to us again because I told him that we have a substantial subdivision back there that has been driving over a very, very bad road for a very long time, and they have a reason to be very annoyed at it because the council has tried to get this done. We have asked the Pasco County Commissioners to do this. It went before the board and they said no. Then I was told they weren't aware that we had had an agreement with Mr. Gallagher to do 50-50 split, even though it wasn't our road. But because our people use it, we were going to split 50-50. And as I recall, the amount was something very small, like $20,000 or $40,000. All right.
total.
To
The total
resurface.
of both sides, like 20 for us, at least.
Now, as you look at that road, if I'm not wrong, the private area does not need paving. It's on the end. It is on the east end of that road. The area, I believe the county owns, and I don't want to go on record, but I believe this is what they were telling me, from Washington Street to Walnut, which is the area that has to be paved. That is the area that is bad. It's owned by the county. Mr. Garrett says he does this all the time. He is more than happy to get rid of a road because he's got 40,000 square miles of road. And if he can get rid of a piece of it, he's done this before. He's happy to do it. He will take it to the commissioners and ask them if they will give us the road. Now, yeah, we will have it from then on. It'll be
We'll
ours.
have 100% of the repairs at that point.
Forever and ever.
Forever and
One-way
Amen.
trip, I can assure you that.
But we already have a water main going under that road. So it's all intertangled. I wish Pat had been here, he could have explained it to you, but when Mariano and I went out there, Terry, you might, if you go out again, it appears to flow toward Orange Grove on Walnut about the middle of the way, and then it appears to flow the opposite direction, which would be south then north at the middle of the street. The county's paving has increased the flooding of the Candlelight road and backyard. So Mr. Mariano has suggested that we use inmates and make it go one way. Because if it goes north, it goes into about a 4 foot by 4 foot culvert that runs somewhere in Pasco County. So I think what has to happen is, Mr. Attorney, we have to ask if they will give us the road, and I believe the east side of the road is already ours. The drainage, is it, you know? I would ask you to clarify who owns what.
Can I make some
Orange
suggestions?
Grove and
I'll make this easier
And
for you.
Washington.
Okay. Here's my suggestions to make this easier. If you want to do this, take over the road, I would presume first you want to know the condition of the road and what it's going to cost to fix. The last information the city has is this 2012 letter, which we gave you. That's why we gave it to you.
40, 50,000.
Yeah, well, that's what, I can't tell from this too much, so I guess the answer is, you know, you wanna take it sight unseen, or you wanna spend some money to see how bad it is? Generally, you know, I don't know.
I thought he sent us 3 options, Jim.
Yeah, I'm saying that, yeah, this is it. So that, in other words, first decision I think you wanna make is, do you wanna rely on that, or do you wanna get more information on what needs to be done with the road, or?
Well, the reason I brought it tonight is.
That's the first question.
Because we can't talk among ourselves. I had to see where council's mind was on this. Are you interested in it?
Yeah.
To begin. And if you are, then I would say, you know, at this point, I will step back because I would be interfering with the operation of the city and let the city manager take it from here. Contact Mike Garrett and reaffirm his offer and have him take it to commissioners and ask them if they would be willing. In the meantime, if it looks like it's going that far, I think we do need to look and see what I don't wanna buy a pig, you know, a pig in a poke here.
Is that something Pat is qualified to do? Can he look at
I
that?
knew you were gonna ask me that. Personally, I think you want to decide whether you want to do this before you go to the county commissioners and ask them and put them through that whole thing to maintain credibility for the council, okay? That'd be my strong recommendation. Do I think we can rely on Pat's looking at a road? He's not an expert on what's beneath a road. Generally, when there's been a lot of repairs on the road like that, when there's a base problem. Okay, and then I think you have these other issues the mayor was discussing concerning drainage issues. Do you understand what I mean? So,
And access.
So that's not something you think we could do in-house, is looking at the road and getting a
no,
good feel?
there's no, no, my shorter answer is I don't think Pat's qualified to give you an opinion for the cost associated with the base of a road, nor the flooding issues. No, that's beyond his expertise.
And maybe it is. I'm always forever frugal. This is 4 years old. So probably, you know, the worst it can be is the last one. I think Pat has said to me that this company works very well with them. Could they verify this as currently the same as it was at that point? Or I know I don't want to spend a lot of money, but I want to get paid.
Having worked with Pat for the last 90 days, you know, Pat's a good guesser, but, you know, it's a lot of distance between these numbers, okay? This is not his expertise.
All right, Mr.
It's just my opinion.
City Manager.
Okay. In other words, yes, can we go back and see if they could give us something closer?
Yeah, just update it.
Yeah, I mean, Johnson and I could put this engineer on here and say, look, give me parameters for low and high, if that's what you're asking
Okay,
me.
yeah.
I'm more concerned about the drainage than I am about the road.
Well, and I think that should be, even if we have to pay for it, that drainage needs
Yeah.
to be in there, and, this has to be done.
Yeah,
It just
I
has
presume
to.
that. We have the money,
They're
by the way.
out in
Jocelyn?
nowhere, and they drove, I mean,
We
you wouldn't,
have
I wouldn't buy a
engineered
house there
plans.
because-
What's that?
We have engineered plans, specifications for Orange Grove, but they're several years old.
Right.
You can always have an engineer just relook at those existing
Well,
plans.
Yeah, I would suggest.
Hey, we'll look for some ballpark
Is this
figures,
gonna
right? Is that
still
what
on
council's looking for?
our
You wanna
team?
know?
We don't wanna get in too deep if it's totally.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be there, but is this group still works with us?
Yes, yes.
Do they?
Okay, I would say, let's look to them, they've already got
So
familiarity.
you want the drainage issue and fixing the road, both, right?
Yes.
Well, Orange Grove has been suffering from drainage problems since its inception, so, yeah, I think, part of the problem with these roads is they put down limestone. Limestone is the worst base you could use in Florida, especially with all the rain we get. An area that is basically somewhat swampy to start with when it was developed, it's a nightmare. So I know in some of the reading here, they were talking about putting a concrete base down, which is what people tell me is probably the better way to go in this type of application, but, like I said, I just wanted to see if council's willing to go there. It's been offered to us. You want to get some idea what we're jumping into, that's very smart thinking. I'm all for that. Along at the same time, I think we could probably just reach out to Mike Garrett, make sure that, he wasn't just talking to me, that he is willing to proceed, and see where it takes us.
Okay, and within this entire thing becomes the exit onto Walnut from the back, that,
I'm not sure what the exit of Walnut has to do with this.
Penn, the lady that was here earlier. Walnut, what can I write?
I know what it looks like. I
Walnut
understand.
straight
I know
access.
what the streets are. I'm not understanding how that issue is connected to this one.
Well, if it is and it isn't, I mean, if we can offer, we'll take the street, we'll pave the street, but we need our guys to get out.
I appreciate that, and I will broach that subject with them, having dealt with the county before at this level. I know it.
I think that's
They
reasonable.
know the meaning of no.
And the other, Jim, Penn, when she brought that up.
I will ask them that, yes.
Well, the 8 people that need to get out are willing to share.
Yeah, I understand all that,
Yeah,
yeah. I will ask them again,
Okay.
and I'll try to be optimistic, and if I talk to Mr. Garrett, I'll tell him we're thinking about it, but hold off on asking county commissions till we've done a little homework, right? That we're up to with this motion.
Wait, which?
I'll contact Mr. Garrett and say, look, we're thinking of going ahead on this thing here. We're just doing a little homework first, just to make sure your door's still open on that. Don't go to county commissioners yet till we,
That'd be
right?
fine.
Just to see if that door's still open.
Like I say,
So
the-
we're up to, is that good with everybody?
Yes.
Okay, and then,
If that was open to go to county commission, could we just say up to X amount of money, we get the Walnut thing done, the deal, I wanna get something done.
I got all that, but you wanna start giving me numbers, go ahead, vote for them, give me a number.
Now,
You wanna do
Whatever
that
the
just out of
highest number.
nowhere, you go
Let's have a
ahead?
look at that. Well, we got a
I don't know
number.
if it's 50,000 or 500, I have no idea.
Well, I mean, then we have numbers here.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Okay, we'll leave it, we'll make it simple.
thank you.
All right, so the motion is to allow the city manager to investigate. You're an investigator.
Yeah, I don't think I need a vote on it if I got a consensus, is that, I mean, I'm not doing anything outside of talking to Mr. Garrett to
Right.
see if the door's still open. Try to get you some better numbers in a range.
Okay.
And then tickle them a little bit about, if we do this, you'll do that. I appreciate that.
Lebanese.
I got it, I know, I got it, I appreciate that.
I would like to ask council one other thing. I met with Mr. John Montana on Clark Moody Road. You're familiar with that? Clark
Yes.
Moody is in the
We got a
industrial
letter on
area.
that.
Hasn't been paved since 1987. It is horrible.
I agree with that, I took a tour myself.
It's a very, okay, I don't know, I would just like to say, can we do the same thing that we're doing with Orange Grove as one of the major reasons that I like being in this city is I get to drive on roads that don't break my car. And these people pay a lot of taxes to the city. It's potholes, it's drainage problems, we just need to look at it at least. And if we just add that to,
That is our road.
that is our road.
Yeah, that is our road, that's a different issue than taking on a new road. I
Right.
mean, you wanna pave it, just tell me you wanna pave it, and we'll go pave it.
Well, all
They'll
right.
do- I know, but you'll do the top of that road, it's my understanding that road.
resurfacing job.
It's yes, thank you.
Yeah.
You want to resurface it, I'll resurface it, yeah.
I think Pat had some.
I can come back at the same time and give you some ballparks on that resurfacing.
So you guys-
I trust Pat's, not that I distrust Pat, but I
I
trust
understand.
Pat's estimates on resurfacing, okay?
I don't trust anybody about drainage because our drainage looks like it goes north, south, up, down, vertical, horizontal. Yeah, I don't know.
You want me to give everybody a ballpark on that?
See, they didn't have the marijuana decriminalization, because somebody that was on it did that. So we're gonna add Clark Moody just as an investigational thing.
I'll come back with that, that's not,
Surfacing.
I can,
Everybody consensus with that?
yeah, gentleman bought 3 properties on that property, on that land there.
Oh, you wanted to say something?
Thomas Brown, 7436 Candlelight Court. The Orange Grove we're speaking of, I've heard it referred to as Orange Grove Drive, Orange Grove Road. We gotta get it in the record, it's Orange Grove Avenue. And we only want the part that runs east from Washington Street. We don't want the other side.
Right.
And there is great drainage at Orange Grove and Pulsar. A big drain on the left side of the street coming in that runs under the road and goes into that 3-acre swamp that's for sale.
You mean
So-
the lake?
No, a big swamp. There's a for sale sign there. Mr. Pfister, I believe, has 3 acres for sale there.
I don't
And
know.
it's
How
a
do you
swamp.
how do those two roads get flooded in Candlelight?
Well, that's further down Orange Grove, but the upper end, a third of the way down from Washington Street has great drainage.
Is there a way to route that drainage that you're flooding with that way?
No.
Okay, so we'll have to tickle this one a bit.
Yeah, drainage is a funny thing, you need experts for that, you'd be surprised things can be done, it's not as simple as it looks downhill that way.
If and
I'm
when you
sure.
drive down Orange Grove Avenue,
Yeah.
look on the left at that great big drain, and then you'll see on the right side of the road at the same place, water rushing out
After you've
from under
turned
the road.
left.
After you turn left onto Orange Grove,
Avenue, what'd you
just
say?
Avenue,
Is that
just
right?
before you come to Pulsar, there's a great big drain.
Okay, and you don't know who owns the first of that road?
No, I don't.
Okay. We're getting right along here.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, I want to pass the gavel to the vice mayor and nominate Phyllis Gray to the Planning and Zoning Board. Phyllis has worked long and hard in this community, and we had some breaking up, but like with all family, it gets back together, so that's my motion.
And I have a second?
I did second.
Okay.
Any
discussion?
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I was supposed to say that, but
Was
that's
there-
right.
Did you vote,
Did you
Nancy?
say aye?
Yes.
Okay.
No, no,
Nay.
no. Okay, 4-1 passes.
Have that back.
Okay, this is the candlelight. Did you get this, Jim?
A few minutes ago, someone put it up.
The, oh, what?
Old business. Got old business.
Old business.
Old business.
We should call that.
Okay, did we ever get a date for the planning and zoning?
Yeah, it's next Wednesday.
Okay,
Yes,
so
we do have a date.
They're gonna
The
look
date's
into
been
the
set.
feather flags?
Yeah, there's a date set. I believe it's next Wednesday. Yeah, I know the date. I got a date, because I'm going.
Okay.
I believe
And-
it's the 17th. Is 17th next Wednesday?
It is,
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay, and Vice Mayor Rowe wasn't here the last time we discussed the bike and hike trails that you brought up at one time, and I guess they need direction on that, so.
I've made another contact with Tallahassee on this, waiting for them to get back to me. That's been the holdup so far. They were excited about it, they wanted to do it, but you have to stay on them, I guess, because I have not heard back in a number of weeks. So I've reached out to them once again, and as soon as we get somewhere where they're ready to go, I will turn it over to you and you can run with it. I hope it gets done. I'm excited to have that done. It would nice to have that hike and bike trail go somewhere. So as soon as I hear back from them, and like I said, I just sent off another email, so as soon as I get that back, I'll let you know.
I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Rowe. He's done a lot of work over there on Candlelight. I like your old business thing, and good job, Will. You guys have kind of surpassed us old people pretty quick. Any other thing?
One thing I want to bring up, talking to Mr. Franklin, Curtis Franklin today, he's somewhat beside himself, but
Puffed up.
he felt he got blamed for a lot of these things that came up last night. He reiterated with me the fact that we've got to get a hold of the FCT. We have to make an approach, we have to give them something, and they have to give us an answer. Otherwise, he cannot do anything, even if the money comes forward, unless we have those approvals or refusals from the FCT as to whether we can use or do anything with Waterfront Park. So I know from the emails in the past, they aren't looking for much. I know we have a drawing of those ramps and what that plan was going to do to the park. I think that's all they're really asking for, as I recall. They just want to
I
see
went
what we
over this.
wanted to do.
I went over this at length last night. I was so mad with the podcast master or whatever. This requires a major modification. It conflicts with 1, 3, 7, and 13 of their deed rules. To do this will require an attorney, probably a marine engineer. They're asking for the grasses and this and that. Strikeouts, underlines, input from the Army Corps, input from the not the DEP, because FCT is under the DEP, so we have to have the Army Corps involved as well. Drawings, 100,000 we spent for one with a bat cave or whatever. This isn't a minor undertaking, and
No, I know it's not. It's just at this point, procedure is everything. And he said he cannot, even if they cut that check today, that he couldn't proceed and give it to us unless we were willing to proceed as it is stated, unless we have something showing we cannot complete part of this program, then we can go a different direction. But he said as it is written, it is a problem, because he said, I can't give you the money if you're not going to follow that. That is the way it is written. And that is the way it has to be followed unless it can't be. And you have to have validation in writing from the FCT that they will not allow you to do the things you have on that plan. Then that relieves us of the responsibility to follow those particular items on that plan.
Okay,
So he needs that, and,
counterpoint,
pardon?
counterpoint. The citizens do not want that. So, might we do a very poor major modification?
Yeah,
There was not one Fort Ritchie citizen on that advisory board. No one that voted there. And I didn't get to tell Mr. Franklin my thoughts, but
well, this is from his discussion with me, is it's irrelevant who wants it, don't want it. The way it is written right now is the way it was presented to the state. And the state is making a decision by that plan that we gave them, and this council, well, not this council, but council approved. So it went to the state that way, and in order to change that, we're going to have FCT look at that and give us an answer, will you let us do this or not? Which is, I've been asking for so long, and it's the way it should have been done, but it wasn't. So now we are back to that. He said if you're going to want to change anything on that, it's got to be done this way. We have to contact the FCT. They have to contact back to us, and then if we get those refusals or whatever they are, then we submit that to the state.
Terry, is it possible that we do a major modification and just change the plan? Or do we have to do a major modification and get a no, and then which I asked Curtis Franklin about 180 days ago to redo the plan, and he said, well, it'll take 45 days, you're wasting time.
Yeah. Well, I think you'd have to ask him. I know I'm gonna go back to the meeting of February 10th, 2015, when Mr. Franklin was here, and my concerns were with the fact that we wouldn't be able to do things, and we were told that we could modify it, and more than likely, we'd have to amend it anyway, was the way it was stated, but I don't know, that is something he's dealing with the state, it's completely out of my hands. We would have to have that discussion, I guess, with Mr. Franklin and see where we stand.
We could do it, Jim, we just have to take an engineering company out, take a whatever, and tell them, look, give us the highest cost you can.
I'm not sure I'm following this. We've gotten written advice from Mr. Franklin as to what's going on, Jocelyn, and none of this is, he told us. No, he told us other reasons.
They snookered that.
We keep
council.
asking him, hey, what's going on with the Restore Act money? He's never said this to us. We'll send you the written advice. We've asked him, he says he's waiting on something.
He is waiting.
Jack
He's not
said-
waiting, he hasn't asked for any of this from us.
Jack said.
And I've been
just-
asking for 90 days.
And I'd add another 90 for me. Jack said just.
He didn't say that, I mean, we're asking, I'm saying, what's going on here? If he had said that, we would have done something. We would have done whatever he wanted.
Well, I
not
told
the
him
answers
today
you've been
that,
giving
you know,
us,
I
in
would
writing.
bring this up tonight, so
Yeah.
I guess you'll have to call Mr. Franklin and ask him what exactly needs to be done, but that was, he said, if you want to vary from the way it was written, it has to go through proper protocol and procedure, and contacting the FCT is part of it.
Yes, I mean, I'll do whatever you want, but I tell you this, we've been asking and he's never told us that. That's a fact. And so, we'll send him another letter, what's holding it up, and whatever he wants us to do, we'll do.
You want to just do it that way?
Yeah, I don't think the
Whatever you want,
holdup,
I-
it's not the holdup, it's the fact that, are you gonna be able to do these things with waterfront?
Yeah, I
park?
think it's a different issue. I don't think it's the whole, I don't think it's
The money is
holdup.
still moving through channels,
that's what I
and
think.
probably getting close to being awarded, but
Right.
he said, once that comes to be awarded, then you have to follow.
That is the
Letter of
worst
law.
plan in history. My
Yeah.
personal
Yeah, that's
vote
what I
would
think.
be turn it down if we got it. So I don't know how you feel, but these ramps we're supposed to build dump right into where you enter and exit Miller's Bayou. They're on a show. You may have to go across the bayou or across to the mangroves to get to where you could launch at low tide. It is the dumbest, I've never seen a dumber plan in history. I really haven't. I think the elevation is gonna go from somewhere around 8 feet to water, and then wherever you have to go out on that shoal to get to where you could launch at low tide, and then you create a boat hazard with all the boats from Miller Bayou and all the launch boats. So just so you're kind of up to date with what I've been dealing with. We don't want it done, but yet we're gonna spend money to have it done. That's council. I know these guys are under a lot of stress, kind of like at the last moment you didn't really know, and I watched the meeting a few times.
Yeah, well, anyway, like I said, it's basic procedure from
We're
what
asking,
he told me.
we need to put in a modification to delete the ramps off our plan?
No, to be able to do the plan.
I thought they were already on the plan.
They are on the plan, but we can't do them because they.
So we're asking them to be removed from the plan if we can't do them.
We're hoping they don't get approved, because I'm gonna vote against taking the money if they get approved. See, it's kind of a snafu.
Catch-22.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, well, you can't give up $677,000. Well, not if it hurts us. So, and we do have to come up with $335,000 as well. So my thought would be do it for major modification. I mean, they've basically said everything but no. And all those emails, I went over them last night. No, 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 no. If you want to, you can submit a major modification. No, 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 no. So, Jocelyn, do you have time to meet anytime this week? I'd like to do it with Jim, but, huh? With me and Jim if possible. Okay, if you'd call me, I'd just see what we can do. I'm up to date and I'll bring it back to you guys if that's okay. Consensus? Okay.
One last thing,
We're not making any decisions, you just wanna meet, you can meet with us
Wanna
anytime you
meet.
want, but we ain't making
Meet
any
and-
decisions, I tell you that, without this
And-
council.
Well, you just said, well, you're gonna write
We
them a letter.
well, I'm just saying, anybody wants to meet, you can come on in and meet with me. But beyond taking action, I'll need this council as a collective body to make that vote.
Well, maybe we should do that. And we
You
can
understand what I mean? I mean, that's a
separately.
dangerous thing, you know, that's a place we can't go. In other
What's
words,
that?
unless you're gonna delegate, well, you wanna meet's one thing, but to take action in that meeting is a different story without this council's approval.
What was your intent of?
Yeah, what's your intent of the meeting? I mean,
The
what-
meeting was.
I'm gonna leave the
to-
meeting and take action without this council
Hello,
approval.
wait, Trim, approximately. what
Well,
would
then
you
I'll
think?
need this council approval, you know. You want us
I
to
just
start
wanted to
taking
get you
action.
some numbers, because I think it's gonna cost a lot of money.
On what?
I just wanted to get some numbers with meeting with them. I could meet with them, then you could meet with them, then you guys could meet with them, however you wanna do it.
It's a very dangerous place to go. You say you wanna meet, and we're gonna take
All right,
action.
we're not gonna
You
meet,
know,
take action.
You
Write 'em a
understand,
letter.
I represent this council.
Okay,
Understand what I mean? And so if you're gonna delegate you to do something, to take action, I'm gonna need a vote.
let's not do that.
Okay.
Let's just write the letter. but I
That's a
would
place I
like to-
won't go.
I would like to meet with you and discuss.
We could meet, I'll meet with any council member to discuss.
Okay. Give
Take
me a
action's
time.
a different story without this council approval.
Right. We are staying in the straight and narrow. Mr. Rowe, thank you for your work as well. Others?
One
And-
last thing, Mayor. Last night at the meeting, they presented us with findings that there was a survey done online, and they told us that 400 and some odd people in this town were in favor of amplified music, if I did not get that wrong.
You got it wrong.
Pardon?
It was about half and half.
Now, I talked to the county earlier in the day about that figure, because they gave it to me at work, and I said, where did these people say they live? And they live in Port Richey. I said, well, you have any addresses? No, there's no verification. So that's why Melanie clarified herself last night when she got up there, and she said, I have no proof that these people actually live in the city. I think we need to do our own survey. I've said this before. We're approaching a crossroads here. I mean, we're starting to see some growth. We've got some nice projects coming in with some nice housing, and things are starting to move again. And I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but for me, the only thing that matters, and the reason I'm sitting here, is because people elected me to be their voice. And I have always and will continue to do what the majority of those people, my citizens, my fellow citizens, want me to do. And I want to know what that is. And it's impossible for me to even go door to door and catch everybody at home. A survey, I think, is necessary. I brought this up, God, 6 or 10 months ago, and I think it is still necessary, especially with the pressure we're getting from the business association. The county wants to move forward with these things. It really doesn't matter. As long as our citizens, this is their city, it's where they chose to live, it's where they have to listen to and put up with any extra noise, traffic, and all the other things that come with growth. I'd really like to know where our citizens stand. I need to know.
May I ask you a question? If 49% of the citizens did not want it and 51% wanted open air music, you are changing the lives of 49% of people.
I would
Where do you vote then?
I would have to advise them that once you open this bottle, it's not going to be corked again.
So
Once
I
we go
think
down
it-
that road, that's it. But, you know,
I know what you're thinking, Terry, but I just say, if I'm changing 5 people who like to hear the fish jump every once in a while and enjoy the sound of silence, does everybody else that wants Led Zeppelin and 4 other bands override them? I don't know that answer. And we're gonna have a lot of philosophical thoughts and ideas. Maybe a workshop would be good. But right now, Whiskey Joe's came in and said, we will follow the law. That's very different than what we've had.
We have 2 ordinances that are battling head to head. We have this no amplified music ordinance, but we also have a ordinance with 65 decibels. So whether the music is amplified or unamplified, if we have an ordinance set at 65 decibels, that's the setting. So we either have to look at raising the decibel level, because 65 decibels is not even as loud as US 19.
How is it, right here is about 65 maybe?
Yes.
Do I want to hear that on my balcony every night?
and see, when we set up.
That's the difference. I
And
mean,
boy, do we remember those
Particularly
meetings.
with maybe 5 bands.
then you have to work out something that rotating weekends or do something like that.
I haven't thought of that one. Maybe just Friday and Saturday, the people that didn't want the music.
Or we can change the
Stand
decibel
it.
level and get rid of the amplified ordinance.
I don't
And
think
have
that's
the
a good
hours
idea.
between certain hours of the evening or the night not to exceed whatever decibel levels are set. But I think the problem is we keep going back to amplified music. Well, some other music could be just as loud as amplified if the decibel level is 65 decibels.
I think it'd be hard to carry that by you like they do with an unamplified deal. I don't know, well, I really don't.
Well, when we set that, and we went through all those hearings and workshops and nightmare and cameras, and it was basically set with the idea that this was the music that was coming out of the inside of the establishments, and it was being checked at the property line. Am I correct? So that's why it was set. It wasn't.
That's why there's 2 ordinances.
No, that's because of.
The one
zoning.
basically was set up for the WOD, and the other one was set up for a problem we were having with noise coming outside through the walls of the bars, or out the windows, or whatever.
I understand.
But it was in an enclosed area. And so I know they went out, we made decibel checks all over, and believe me, decimal levels are a whole can of worms you can open all by themselves. But, yeah, I don't know. I just would like to know, I mean, I'm getting a picture painted by these people that our city is crazy for this, and I don't believe that's true. And I'd like to have some
Our city is
verification
what?
of it. I don't believe that that is true, that the city is gung-ho to have amplified outdoor music.
No, I had that with Greg Smithwich last night. Everybody I hear, well, Greg, you're talking to the same people.
Anyway, I'll just leave that there.
Johnson, can we check with other cities that are on the water that have outside venues, what their decibel readings are?
I don't think Decibel is gonna handle this, frankly, but I'll give you a quick, another one of my parallels. I had a guy from St. Pete Beach over about 3 weeks ago, and we were sitting out on the deck, and it was quiet. He'd mullet jump every once in a while, and he lives like almost the same distance as the Cross Millers Bayou from St. Pete Beach on the beach. And he said, Jesus, it's so nice, it's quiet. I live across from these bars that are blasting all the time. I never get quiet. So, and I'm not saying we have to have quiet, but I don't want to hear this level of any music that I don't want to put on myself, personally. But I'm going to vote for however we can philosophically make the least annoyance to the people who don't like it and the
Bring
most.
business to the city.
I'm not, city, so far, I haven't seen how that makes us function any better during budget season. And we did have a conversation with Walt, well, I did, and Jim did, and I suggested they secede from the union. You know, from my standpoint, Walmart's getting $900,000 worth of police services, and they pay us $53,000 in taxes. Now, that's great. That is a great deal, but it's for them. And so all the bring the businesses to the city, it's great for our image, it's great for home prices in the future, but it better be a nice place to live as well. What do you want me to sign?
I'll just make a comment on
Yes,
this.
ma'am.
As far as the noise is concerned, I moved here 30 years ago. There was peace and quiet. I was here before the bars. And, you know, frankly, you know, when they come in here and go, oh, the bars have been here forever, but Seaside was here, I will admit that. Hooters gets along fine. They're doing a great business. They don't disrupt anything. But when you are sitting in your home with double pane windows and you can hear the music while your TV's on, there's a problem. That's why I get upset.
Here, here. I'm sorry, please.
Explain from a legal standpoint. I know it's an important issue, but the ordinance in the WOD is not a noise issue, okay? In other words, that's a zoning. It says no outside amplified music structures, and that's not a noise issue. That's a property value, aesthetics, what you're trying to do in that area issue. See, when you read the whole thing, it explains that. See, the goal of the WOD was, we don't make money off sales tax, right? We don't, okay? We get 2/3 of 1%, regardless if we have 1 million businesses here or none. We don't get it, doesn't make a difference. It goes to a central location, we get that. The theory was that large hotels would go there, we get tax base. Kind of like the $8.5 million thing that's going up on Washington. They had enough room to make $8 million worth of buildings of what's going there now. You understand what I mean? So the goal was to create use restrictions that would encourage high value, because it's a small amount of property. Let's get the most value out of it. That's, in other words, hotels aren't going to go there when there's outside band shells. People don't want to stay in hotels like that, okay? So that's the theory there. Now, you could change that at any time, you understand what I mean? But it's not a noise issue. It's a quality of real estate value issue. And that's why it's been sitting there for a long time, because those restrictions were put in a long time ago for that purpose. It was studied and put in. Now, you want to change them, it's not, normal, but it's not a noise issue. It's a land value issue.
And if you look at the 1998 Intermodal Master Plan, Molly Coloquitas and Don Johnson, Seaside and Sun Cruise, were the two stakeholders that helped write it. So it was not without input like we're dealing with now. We had Pasco County, we had the FDOT sponsor it, Pasco County, two other departments, and all the Port Ritchie Council. So it was an overall well done plan. And King Tom just decided he was just gonna make it his way, and he did what he did. So we're in this pickle, and I think you're just gonna have to bend and sway and mold this thing.
Well, I think there's room for everybody.
I do too.
We do have to come to some kind of a conclusion. Let's just bantering it back and forth at every meeting is just,
I would suggest that we don't do anything presently and just let Whiskey Joe's come in and start. We have to enforce what we have. And as long as, and they had 2 years from 2005
2 years for what?
to come into compliance.
2005?
2005 was the ordinance that was adopted, that adopted the waterfront overlay district.
Yeah, if there was any grandfathering, their rights were long expired, yeah.
Right, so I've looked and looked and looked and looked to try to find a parking garage. The Coloquitas own almost every inch of land. There's 2.6 acres that I've found we could possibly use. Other than that, they own it. And so maybe they have to come into confirmation with the current standards we have.
Yeah,
Or is there a grandfather?
There's a Harris Act that was in effect at that time, which says that if a city comes in and puts an overlay, but changes the zoning in an area, if you suffer loss of value of your property because you can't use it anymore, you have 2 years to bring a claim. When that WOD was put in, the major players were part of it because it was their properties in there that were being locked in for very high use. And it's not like somebody just woke up one morning and saw the WOD was sitting there empty. Hey, there's a great idea. Really? No, this was well thought out. To be high-end hotels, you understand, a couple of them, and multiple reasons why there wasn't allowed to be renting of boats there, which the council changed, because hotels are not gonna come now because you've broken, they're not gonna, they want to monopolize that. That's the whole idea of all this. And that's why it was done, it was well thought out. So now you're kind of stuck in the quandary of there's no right or wrong answer. It's just,
Yeah, I mean.
it's where it is. But that should give you an idea why it ended up this way, right? It is what it is, right? It's hard questions, very hard
We're
questions.
problem solvers, we can do this.
Yeah, very hard question.
But do we have a plan to start making people come into compliance?
I don't have a plan. I'm kind of trying to get a city manager and a building official is what I need. I need a building official.
Yeah, I've got several more
I need a building
complaints, or not complaints really. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be
It's a hard
great
decision.
place
It
to
really
live.
is. I'm glad I don't have to make the decision. You do. It's hard. There's no right or wrong.
Well, this was all very informative, but it is off topic. He wants a survey.
What's that?
Say it
He
again?
wants a survey. He's asking if we can survey the residents and get their opinion.
Okay, I'm asking you before we spend the money, can I borrow your pen again?
To do a survey?
What would you do with what I gave you? 49% don't want amplified and 51 do. So you're gonna change 49%, you change their lives. 51 get music. What's the answer?
every decision you make, somebody's not gonna like it.
Somebody
somebody's
isn't.
gonna like
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think, that one I think would be an easy one. Okay, we can do
Yeah,
whatever you
that's
guys
true
wanna
too.
do.
Well,
Can
it would
we
be an
do it-
opportunity to investigate more than just that.
Um,
More than just the noise thing. You could ask questions about anything then. If you're gonna do a survey, then you could find out how the people really feel about
Why
a
don't
lot
each
of different
us,
things.
Correspond with Tammy and Jocelyn and say, you know, I think this would be a appropriate question. How do you wanna do it? Here, I brought my house phone.
It didn't ring.
I know.
Didn't want to miss the call, huh?
Had a super chip, supposed to get out. I don't know, you wanna go ahead and ask the city manager, would you, or Jocelyn to put together some basic questions? Or do you want to do it ourselves and send them in and then bring them back? There's a lot of
We
ways.
could all come up with a few questions that we would like to
Right.
have some ideas on.
Why don't we just
Put in Jocelyn.
informally do that and try to,
Some of them are gonna be duplicates anyway, so why don't we narrow
Yeah.
it down before we give it to Jocelyn to do?
right, well, we can send, she can narrow.
She can narrow.
She's a narrower.
She's a narrower.
The hardest part of a survey is the cost involved, which, believe me, I think it's a great idea personally. You gotta remember, you put it on SurveyMonkey, I assure you, everybody has an agenda. Somebody will pump in 400 from some address. You can't rely on it.
By the way,
Now, would you gotta mail it to all the city residents? You get a
Well,
real
my
survey.
idea was-
You know what I mean? Then you get a real
Have you done
survey.
with-
We get printing done for our
All kinds of things.
water department. We send out a bill every month that's printed. Do we do that in-house, or is that done outside? Right. I don't think the survey has to be, I don't think we want to get into
We have
having.
every address, yeah, we have it.
We could put something like there, just yes, no, basic, straight questions. Doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be fancy. I think we just get some basic ideas what our constituents want.
I can check with the utility billing
I don't
department
think you
to
can
see
get
if that's an option.
Okay. That's all. It's just something, even if, you know, and Doc's right, is this the right way to go, even if they do all want it? Well, that's a decision council will have to make. Is that a smart move for the city or not? But at least we know where they stand, because what I got last night is telling me that over 400 people, which they brought up is almost as, well, in the numbers of how many people actually even vote in this city, were telling us that they were in favor of it, moving forward with all this, and I just don't see it.
Yeah, but no addresses and no.
No, no
information.
confirmation that's.
Let me
from-
tell you, when
And
I
how was
got.
it advertised, right? You understand? I mean, that should answer your question as to the agenda, right?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, let me tell you real quick how it happened. Jocelyn got a letter on July 18th with a link, no explanation, no nothing, as I understand it. I called and got Melanie to send me she said something about the survey. I called on Friday and asked her to send me the survey. She sends me a link. So I sent the link, and everybody that's here that's on my letter got it. You could go to it. The link went, the consensus or the amount of voters just from Saturday to the Monday meeting went from 374 to 411, just by the email. We didn't get to vote, is the bottom line, and it's not her fault. So,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
never. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Not debatable. Jim,